out so that the public can see some of the wonderful things that our staff are doing and what they're involved in, both in the past, currently, and what they've got planned for the near future. So I'll let Tom Day go ahead with this.
So in fact, this is part of our scheduled third quarter report, that our third period report. Stefan and the RCMP do it quarterly, but we do it 3 times a year. So really this started, I guess, with when I first met with Council 2 Octobers ago, and we went through a strategic planning process where Council outlined its goals for the community, and we outlined objectives that we wanted to achieve and how we're going to achieve them. And so this is staff reporting back on how we move forward on those goals and objectives of Council, as well as our day-to-day activities, to give Council an idea of what we do. And so the third period encompasses the months September, October, November, and December of 2013. So so in terms of Council's municipal goals and objectives over the 2013-2014, I was very impressed in terms of our how we progressed on those. I think we had an outstanding year, and really in terms of fulfilling Council's overall vision to have Summerland a sustainable community, and that's both from a financial perspective, an environmental perspective, and a cultural development perspective. I think we made major strides. And so the first was the completion of the growth strategy, which everyone's aware of here. We're now in the process of creating a bylaw that Council will look at for the first time tonight. We also were successful in bringing transit to the community, regular scheduled transit, and I know under the Mayor's report that it shows that in fact the numbers are really of good quality.
That's right.
Climate action budget. Council a couple of years ago had indicated that they want an appropriate climate action budget. It took us a while to get there, but Lori's got that into effect, where we actually turn the costs of or taxes, I guess, in effect of using. Sorry, how does that work? Thanks.
So, Julia, our planner that's responsible for this area, tracks the greenhouse gas emissions that each department is, having their vehicles and other equipment that they use, or the space in buildings, and how much greenhouse gases are being contributed back into the environment from those activities, and every department then has to contribute to the climate action budget based on that.
So we have, in fact, an independent budget that is assigned for improving the climate. We proceeded with the industrial lands at Bentley Road project, so we now have available industrial land within Summerland, and in fact we've had interest from owners of property in terms of potentially developing that, so that's exciting. The Lakeside Trail project, we have a very strong advocacy group within the region, but really focused around Summerland, and Council allocated some $20,000 to help them in terms of grant funding and in order to design a trail alongside the lake. And we're working with them to try and resolve some issues that we have with highways, so we continue to liaise with them. The marketing with the Chamber of Commerce, I think the Chamber is really showing that I think they can do an excellent job in terms of marketing the community, and I think that we're really starting to generate a quality partnership between Ian's work and Christine's work, and I think we're really starting to move in the right direction that way. Included in that, too, is that we've proceeded with the signs, the directional signage to downtown, which we hope to commence construction in the next month or so. Another item that Council identified was customer service, and I think from my perspective and the comments I've heard from Council and the community, that I think customer service in the communities within our organization itself has increased greatly. I think we've got excellent frontline staff that are concerned with the customers, and from a senior management perspective, we always take customers' perspective into consideration as we evaluate new projects and new programs. Also, committee rationalization, Council asked me to look at in terms of how our committees were structured, whether they were effective or efficient, or whether we're better off to do some of that with staff, and I think we sorted that out in a fine manner. Also, in terms of corporate restructure, council was looking for efficiency and financial sustainability, and we had some very difficult things that we had to look at in the latter half of last year, and then made some really difficult decisions early in January. So, but I think we have set ourselves up as a more sustainable economic entity here in the corporation. Council's also identified that we need to find alternate revenue sources. As our infrastructure deteriorates and becomes harder and harder and more costly to replace it, and all we can do is keep taxing the same people, whether it be a fee or a tax. It's the same bodies that pay. And so really, we've identified growth as a key revenue source, but also whether or not we can generate some alternate revenue sources. We looked at electricity, it didn't work. We've looked at gravel, and it looks like we've got some potential there, and so we're going to proceed with that. Council is also concerned with its reserves and surpluses, and rightfully so. I think that we really need to do some work in that regard, and I think Council's given us our marching directions, and Lori and her team and myself will be actively involved in, once we get our new Deputy Director of Finance on board, we'll be actively involved in creating some new policies and things so that Council can truly understand where we are fiscally. The other, I think, big success of the organization, I think this is a true testament to how our organization has changed, is the water meter project. We had Jim and Ian and Lori, myself, Karen, and Don Darling, all working, and Devin as well, all working towards trying to find a fair and equitable system instead of a fair and equitable system that, in fact, is a very complex solution to what appeared to be a very easy problem until you understand the historical nature of Summerland water and water consumption. And interested to hear, so we've been negotiating with our computer software company in terms of trying to get a deal to convert that software so it could work on this unique system, and we found out there's about 4 other municipalities or areas that are looking at using our idea to fund for the water system, and so hopefully we're going to get a cheaper software conversion there.
Good.
So that's from a team perspective, that's some of our key accomplishments this year. Now for, we call it the CAO's office, but it's myself and Karen, pretty small group. So this is our September to December report that largely Karen put together. In terms of strategic initiatives, Ian and I went and met with the Agricultural Land Commission. The commission edited it as its entirety to make sure, as it appeared evident, there was a future growth proposal that involved the agricultural land reserve that the commission understood and didn't flat out say no to a possibility. So we spent some time with the commission and meeting with them in Burnaby. Also been working with ElectroMotion to run a test project here in Summerland. I think a lot of people believe that it's a serious economic development opportunity, and the fact is that what it does is it creates electricity as a byproduct of heating your house, and so it is a green energy system, and we're hopeful that it's got a lot of future. And I met with Jai today. We're still going through that contract in terms of, yes, but we hope to have that sorted out in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
The library building is another project that I spent a great deal of time on with Ian. Once Burton Street project, we found out that it wasn't going to proceed. We heard strongly from council that we did want a new library in Summerland, and so Ian and I have been working diligently with the library. We actually have an excellent working relationship with the senior management of the library at finding a new library site, and we're hopeful that something positive will come from that this month. As I mentioned, the committee restructure, we accomplished that. We worked with council to establish the 2014-2015 goals and objectives, so that the whole idea behind that is really so council sets the agenda rather than staff setting the agenda. So council gets to indicate what it wants to get done, and we work towards that. The 2014 budget project, as council was aware, was extremely difficult this year. I really want to pass on kudos to Lori for the effort that she put in, as well as staff up at Public Works. Heather up at Public Works, who worked trying to sort out a system that had historically not really been recording actual to budget, and it just wasn't a workable system. And so we've really turned that around, have a real good handle on what this year's budget is going to look like. But it took a lot of work by a lot of dedicated people, and I very much appreciate that. Another key initiatives was we went down with council members at UBCM, and we went down really with some key objectives. We wanted to ensure that Summerland maximizes opportunities for grants, and what we did is we really were pushing 3 key projects. So first of all was infrastructure funding. And with that, we looked at trying to promote water separation. And in fact, this meeting we held with the Premier, the Minister of Health, the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Community Services, was I think, critical in that we ensured that they fully understood what Summerland was trying to do in order to make more water available for farming, for future growth, in order that we don't have boil water orders, in order that the community can grow. And I think that they really gave us an idea of when that grant program comes up, that we understand how their grant program works, and so that we can hopefully be successful in that grant application. We also went and met with the Minister of Transportation and talked about the problems with the Centennial Trail and with speed limits on Highway 97. There's our Centennial Trail for those of you who haven't gone and hiked there in the last little while. You can see you can walk along and then disappear down into the creek. In fact, the Minister of Transportation, I think, enjoyed our photographs so much that that they passed on that they would fund 50% of that. So we have a grant for $67,500 that comes directly out of those UBCM meetings. And just so council's aware, we're having some issues trying to get some approvals from the Minister of Environment, but we expect that to be done in the next week or two, and the project should be completed by the end of March.
Oh, good.
In terms of council support, I think lots of times people just think, they see an agenda and they make decisions and they expect everything to come out. And I think that Maureen and Karen and myself and Leah in particular are really focused on making sure that things get to the council agenda and that things are followed up with when they come. And Mo's critical to that event, as we all know. But in terms of just making the appointments, there's a lot of work that goes on, and in terms of organizing and meetings and special events, and those are kind of Karen's forte. As an example, the amount of hours that Karen had to put in order to sort out the visit to the sister city, Toyokoro. And you can see Councillor Robson up there, a little bit taller than all the rest of the people
Pretty
there.
funny, actually.
And also things like the Festival of Lights, which is a huge success. And again, we worked that in conjunction with the Chamber. Karen does the mayor's reception at that. And the annual volunteer dinner for the members of our 11 committee. Another key department or area of our department, primarily Karen, is the communications. We have the community newsletter. We continue to tweet and use Facebook, and apparently we've now added something called Hootsuite. Whatever.
You know what that
Advertisements. It's apparently where we can pre-schedule tweets and pre-schedule tweets and things on Facebook. So, not that I would ever use that. We look after advertisements and general media releases when there's major issues. Internally, too, is a big part of our area in terms of regular staff meetings to keep office staff, frontline staff in particular, so when people come in, they're aware. Frontline staff can inform them. And then senior management meetings where we work that we don't consist of a bunch of silos, that we work as a team to accomplish what the community needs. One of our big successes, again, as I talked about, was the water meters. Our water meter open house, council will recall, because I think we were all there, the first water meter open house where we had about 400 people, and this time 87, and most of them were satisfied with the direction that we're taking. And finally, our area looks after human resources too, with the help of all the other directors. But so we had two long-serving, much valued senior management people announce their retirement at the end of last year. We had 8 internal jobs posted, 6 external jobs were advertised and filled. We renewed the CUPE agreement, for which I thank the CUPE executive and Don Darling and Dale McDonald in particular for their diligent work there. One thing about our relationship is that goes through its hard times too. We sorted through an IBEW grievance and a CUPE grievance, and our relationship maintains healthy and strong following those. And also a senior benefit package renewal, which is benefits for all our employees. So it was a busy 4 months.
Okay, let's see, any questions for CAO? No? Okay, next, Jeremy. So just introduce yourself to the crowd so they know a little.
I'm Jeremy Demigard, Director of Corporate Services.
How long have you been here now, Jeremy?
Almost a year.